Frank, 3SS Sports, the disabled team. Make sure you get over there, subscribe to their channel, people. We've got Lee, Statham, JJ's in the building, William, the Bertie Hotspur, big up to you all, of course. Ian Collins, Tom81, Benjamin, Sean in the house, SCH, reverse R, forward RE. I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry. Mark's in the building and the Rhythmic Renegade. Guys, thanks for joining us. Good to have you on board. Double D, big up to you as well, brother. Yeah, there's been a fair bit of news this week. More kind of people like to discuss stats and potential this, potential that. But where I'd like to start off our preview show today is I want to talk about Mickey van der Ven, guys, because and about Romero. They've been so important to us this season, those two centre-backs. And they are vital to the way we play, as much as Udogie and Porro. In fact, the back four, the entire back four. When Udogie, Vicario, Romero, Van der Ven, and Porro start for Spurs, we haven't lost a single game this season. Like, not one team in the Premier League has beaten us this season when they start. The only exception was Chelsea, but Romero got sent off, Udogie got sent off, Van der Ven got stretched off. I mean, well, not stretched, he walked off injured. When they've started and they've stayed on the pitch for most of the game, no one's beaten us. And it was proven again against Aston Villa, right? So when you see stats like this, guys, Van der Ven, with 18 he's played 18 games and we won 66% of those games. Without him, 9 games, it drops off by 20%, the win rate. Points per game also drops off by almost a whole point a game. Romero, he's played 90 minutes and we've won 14 of those games, drawn 3, only lost 2 games when Romero's played 90 minutes. Obviously, those 2 losses were not with Van der Ven next to him, but we've only lost 2 games with Romero starting. Games he started but did not finish. We won 1, drew 1, lost 1. Games in which he never played in, the loss rate goes up. So another player, massively underrated. Matt, how important? I mean, we've shown how important they are, but Dragusin comes in this weekend. Massive test, but Van der Ven, how crucial is he? Not just for us this season with the big games coming up, but just going forward, the way Ange wants to play. Him and Romero as a partnership, can we do better than what they're showing right now? Are there better players that can come that make a better partnership? Or have we got to do our best to keep these two fit and playing as many games as possible?
In an ideal world, you want your best players playing as many games as they can. And I think they dovetail incredibly well. You've got the good cop and the bad cop scenario. And I'll let everybody work out who's the good cop and who's the bad cop. But yeah, they're so well suited. Obviously, one's left-footed, one's right-footed. Romero's the enforcer, he's the physical kind of bodyguard on the pitch, so to speak. And Van der Ven's the silky, athletic, allows players to kind of get beyond the ball, and he's the get out of jail card. You know, he's the insurance policy if somebody does beat the press and they do knock that through ball. He even showed against Ollie Watkins, who I do rate and who is very athletic. I think he made up about 5 yards in the block tackle that I think Watkins got a knock. And I almost feel like Van der Ven discourages the attacking player. It reminds me of when we had Kyle Walker, and when Kyle Walker really got his confidence and really became a top Premier League right back. I used to remember players almost doubting themselves if they can run past him. And I know it's only a small sample size with Van der Ven, but I looked at Ollie Watkins' body language, and after about 15 minutes, he just thought, nah, I'm not getting any change on this side. So if you notice, he went over to Romero's side, who's not as quick. So to answer your question, it's a small sample size. It's 3/4 of a season, but they look an exceptional pair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do you think some fans criticize Romero? Well, what's the issue with Romero? Why are fans just
To me or Eugene?
I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you.
I think memories of the past. So he had an indifferent season last season. Looked a little bit, casual on the ball, a little bit of a yellow card waiting to happen. So I think in some fans' minds, or especially opposing fans, it's an easy target to say he's rash, he's a red card waiting to happen. But if you just measure him on this season, barring the Chelsea match, he's been, in my opinion, I think he's been very, very good. I personally don't get into the Saliba, Van Dijk, and they don't play for Spurs. I think measuring him just on Tottenham Hotspur will do very well to get better than him for the money.
Phil P, super chat. Happy Friday, you filthy animals. Woo! Do you know that always reminds me of Home Alone when he's trying to scare the hotel staff away. You filthy animal. Big up to Phil P. Lily White Lane, Robbie, I've just sent you a link if you want to jump on, bro. We've also got a super chat. Sorry, channel member for 11 months. William, big up to you. Eugene, do you think that I read a stat today that Tottenham Hotspur players have done more sprints than any other team in the league, right? Our players are being pushed to the absolute limit of fitness demands. Do you think that when we judge Romero and Van de Ven, we should judge them differently to other centre-backs on the basis of how we play? Because Saliba, Gabriel, Jones, Guardiola, Van Dijk, Konate, and so on, they're not expected to defend the way our team is being expected to defend. So do you think we need to just calm it down a bit with our defenders, because they've got one hell of a job in the system that we play?
In this Ange system, we know that, right? We've seen it, right? We've seen VDV and Romero, right, in the opposition half, right, getting into the penalty box of the opposition. And you see people like Udogi sits back to cover, right? And when we saw Emerson sit back to cover, and we saw that mistake that he did, so we don't want to go there. If we're going to judge players on the sense that, in that kind of sense, right, how are we going to judge them? Because other defenders don't go that far up most of the time, but our center backs are more or less required to do that. Yes, that's part of their job. That's part of what Ange does, is to put more people on the front foot and put the pressure on and attack. But my biggest fear is that when you say we have done the most sprints, but we have to count who are these people doing the most sprints, right? Is it centered around all our players?
Everyone, because they're sprinting to shut down when they press. They're sprinting to recover when defending. Yes. So you probably say the front three and the back four the most.
Yeah. And who covers the most ground whenever we lose a ball, right?
Kulusevski has covered the most ground. Kulusevski.
When you talk about with speed, VDV comes back, right? At this moment in time, we have two quality pairing at the moment has somehow or another miraculously gelled, right, from the start of the season. Maybe through that few preseason games they played. Van de Ven didn't even play preseason with us, man. He came in straight away, right? And he's just big up, Robbie. Right, how are you doing?
Oh yeah, lads, how are you? Sorry to cut you off there, Eugene. Carry on.
No problem. Right. So this gelling part, and when you see we lose one, our levels drop. We lose two, we don't have levels anymore, right? Everyone just runs over us. The sprint part will take a toll on all our players now. I've been saying this. I've got a suspect with edge ball now is that all our players can't play edge ball for a longer period than at this moment. What I saw on the last game against Villa, now it's 45 minutes. We used to do it in patches of 15, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, right? We have a short burst. And the toll of this intensity is taking it on our players. That's where now VDV is pulled up again. And I see this season, with Dragosin coming in the January transfer window, I mean, he's supposed to be quality. The test will actually come, like what Snell said earlier, right? At Fulham tomorrow. Okay. So that will be the test. If he proves himself, that means we've got centre-back triplets of quality in there. If we add one more, it'd be perfect, right? And then we're not afraid. And then, of course, we come down to our wing-backs going, full-backs going up and down. That will take a strain on them too, sooner or later. You know, Udogi might break down, Poro might break down, so we need to cover. Romero this season, as I've seen it, maybe he's given the vice captaincy. He's calmed down a lot. His level's gone up. He's
Eugene,
more intelligent.
My question was,
Yeah.
do you think it's unfair?
Unfair, okay, yeah.
You haven't been on it so long. You just want to talk.
Yeah, I know. I just went on a ramble, right? Yeah.
Listen, I want to know. I want to know what
yeah.
you think about. Is it fair on our? Can we compare our defenders to other defenders based on how we play?
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Being a Spurs fan, I'll say it's unfair, right? Being others. I mean, you're saying this is comparing with other clubs, right? Of course, the other fans will say everything has to be compared, right? It doesn't matter. So to me, is that it doesn't matter to me too, whether it's fair or unfair, just as long they work, right? That's how I see it.
Robbie,
first of all, how you doing? Been a while, man. You been all right?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, Stel. Not bad, thanks. Good to see all three of you, and I hope that you're all doing well, and everyone in chat. Good to see you.
Good man, good man. By the way, everyone, please subscribe to Spurs Waging and to Lily White Lane. There is a link in the thumbnail. You can just click on it; it'll take you to their channels if it helps. Yeah, Robbie, look. Do you think it's fair to judge our defenders compared to other defenders? Same questions asked Eugene, based on how we play and what's demanded. Look, some will say, but Man City play with a high line, and sometimes Liverpool play with a high line, but no one plays with a high line the way we do. I don't think. I think we play extreme high line the whole game, no matter what. Very rarely do I see us deep. Maybe against Everton, we dropped quite deep in the last 10 minutes. But do you think it's fair to judge our players, our centre backs, on what's being asked of them compared to other centre backs in the league?
I do think it's fair to judge them. I think different managers play different systems, and it's down to the players to try and adapt. Some of them aren't as suitable as others. I think Mickey van den Ven, signing him, he's been absolutely outstanding, hasn't he? And I genuinely think without him, with the high line that we play and his recovery pace, we'd be conceding 4 or 5 in games instead of 1, 2, or 3. I think he's been so good. But I think the high line, you're right, we do play it a lot higher than a lot of other teams. Different people have their different opinions on it. Personally, I love it. I love seeing Spurs, going for games. And I think defenders will adapt. The likes of Dragosin, I think players who have been here for a while, Romero, as I say, he's been good this season. But I think, you've got to remember it's still Ange Postecoglou's first season. He's still trying to instill this style of play. I think the longest, the defenders who may be struggling a little bit more than others, play at Tottenham Hotspur under this manager, I think they'll be able to improve. But I think, as I say, you should judge them just like you judge, different defenders from different clubs. They've still got a job to do, and it's down to the players to try and adapt to Ange Postecoglou's system. Certain players, come into different clubs under new managers, have to transition into a back three when they're used to playing next to one person and different things. So I think we do play a high line. I think it will take time for some of them to adjust more than others. But I do think it's fair to judge them. I think it's their job to adapt. They're professional football players, and they are, in the top level of this sport, so they should be able to.
Matt, let's move this on, right? So some people say, look, Mark's one of them. Man City keep the ball more than Spurs. They do less sprints, right? That's not true. That's just not true. Most Spurs games this year, our possession stats have been really high. Against Aston Villa, we had quite high possession again. So maybe Man City have 5% more, but that doesn't justify not making as many sprints. Do you think it's where we keep possession? Because what I've noticed with Spurs, we keep a lot of possession in our half. Whereas City, once they get in your half, they keep you there for quite long periods of the game. And maybe that is more the case. It's not about possession, it's about where the possession is. Do you think if Spurs were to improve the possession in the other half, there was a game this season, the last 20 minutes against Palace, we had them pushed in. They weren't going anywhere. We had them. Is it a case of we need to improve our possession in the opposing half? Would that impact the number of sprints we're making, Matt? Or do you think, no, we don't play like City? We actually play different to City. And if so, how?
Yeah, we have a slightly different profile of player at the moment. I think if you look at Man City, they have a lot more midfield and inverted wide players that are comfortable on the ball. So Foden, if you look at Foden and Silva, they're not your stereotypical wide player, but they're comfortable on the ball. So they're all about retaining possession and tiring you out and moving you around. And the first time you don't track your runner, that's when they kind of find the through ball. We play a slightly different build up to our play in the final third because we don't at the moment have as many footballers that are comfortable on the ball. They're cut and thrust footballers. So it's 1 or 2 touch shot, 1 or 2 touch cross. That breaks down a lot more frequently than players like Silva, Foden, De Bruyne, that style of footballer. The only player that is similar to some of the players we've got is Doku. And if you notice, the ball breaks down a lot with Doku because he hasn't quite aligned with what Pep Guardiola expects from his players. So he's in his adaptation period. So we just don't retain the ball in the final third as long as Man City do. And there's reasons for that. The profile of player. Brennan Johnson, not the most comfortable on the ball. Your favourite friend, Richarlison, is not comfortable on the ball. So the ball breaks down sometimes when they get the ball, but then Richarlison's more effective.
Do you know Brennan Johnson against Aston Villa? His ball retention was 15% lower than the team average. So that backs up what you've said. We do have players that they're not comfortable on the ball when it comes to keeping it. So
yeah.
All right, Eugene. Go finish.
Yeah,
sorry, go on. No, finish.
No, I was just going to say, yes. Yeah, so that's why when we do get into the final third, it breaks down. If even in the Villa game in the first half, if you watch, if we was a little bit more accurate with that final pass or that final cross, we were in 2 or 3 times in the first half, but it was the wrong side of Son. Or Son played the right. You know, we had a couple of nearly moments where with Man City, they're so precise, they're so accurate when they get that ball in the final third. They're devastating. We're not there yet. You know, we've got a little bit more time to work on that. And if you listen to Postecoglou's interviews, he's always talking about the growth in the final third. We've got a lot more to do. Like you say, when we get them camped in their 18-yard box, we don't let them out. We can't do that at the moment. It's either a shot, cross, or we lose the ball. That's where we are at the moment.
So, Eugene, going off of what Matt said, is it a case we need to sign better quality players that can play Ange ball who are good at keeping retention of the ball? But not just keeping it for the sake of it. It's got to be effective retention, but because we have got a knack of being a bit sloppy. We are a bit sloppy in during matches. So do we need a better quality of technical player, Eugene, in your view? And how many?
Of course, we need the quality. Estelle, why are you asking me? It's so obvious we need the quality, right?
Because not everyone agrees with me. That's why, Eugene. Not everyone agrees with me. So I've got to ask the question.
You must ask something else that makes us disagree, right? Of course, we need the quality, number one, right? But the thing is that, of course, Ange has been given leftovers, right, from the past two managers where he's brought them in. That's why we've been losing the ball a lot. You get what I'm saying? They are not adapted to Ange ball. So now the quality that has to come in, right? Of course, we've seen 2 transfer windows, and the players that we brought in, new players that we brought in, and some of the players that we already had or haven't yet joined us, but we bought them. Like Udogi wasn't with us last season, but we re-owned Udogi, right? So now we've seen him, right? Sa was the bit weird one, to tell the truth. Now I've got a funny feeling, right? The anchoring of our midfield is actually Sa, right? The way I see it for us to actually play Ange ball, because the energy that's needed there, and that's the quality that we miss. Yes, yes. And the breakdown, we lose the ball, right, in middle of the park, and whenever we are chasing back, that's why our sprints levels are so high. That's why you're saying, comparing it to MCT, why are they not, the sprints level are not that high? Because they retain quality ball. See, we are retaining ball without quality, right? And a lot of people saying that we're not having possessions. We are having possessions without results, right? I've been harping this, right? We've been seeing Spurs play horseshoe football for the past 3-4 games, apart from the Aston Villa game, right? We just go you, and nothing comes out of it. We lose the ball and we chase all the way back, and then we get back possession, right? And imagine during the first half of the Aston Villa game, right? It was a Spurs 84% possession with 0 shots on target, 0 shots on goal. I mean, what's that all about? What's the proof there? But of course, we changed in the second half. We'll most probably come to that later. But at this time, the quality is needed. Right?
Eugene, could we just only on the Villa game, not in general? Could we also could we also say though, in that first half, Aston Villa had no shots on target either.
Yeah.
So we kind of nullified them as much as we didn't create. We did stop them as well. So it was a bit of a chess game in the first half, maybe a bit of a.
It was a bit of
let's
chess
see what
game.
you got. Let's see what you show me yours.
And in the first half, right? What I saw is when Watkins tried to attack VDV smashed him, right? And then when he couldn't get over VDV, he went over to Romero. I think Romero brought him down once or twice. So I think he got the message there, right? You've got a European game coming up next on Thursday. Let's see what you're going to do about that while we smash you up. we gave them back what they used to give us. They didn't watch that game, right? Usually Villa's the one that comes out and smashes. And that's why I think McGinn was frustrated. He couldn't go out and smash, right? Because I think their thoughts were more on the Villa, on the Ajax game. So it is what it is.
McGinn was frustrated because he made those big time Charlie comments before the match, and it came back to bite him in the backside. That's why he was frustrated, because he knew he was about to get roasted on social media. That's why I'm thinking. But Robbie, if we need a better quality of player to improve our retention of the ball in the opposition's half, to reduce the number of sprints that we're making, to not maybe bring on as many injuries, if we're linking it all together, how many players do you think we need realistically, Robbie, considering what we've got now, what we've got to get rid of, in your opinion, what's available on the bench, who's coming back from injury? It's a lot here. And the fact we're going to be in Europe next year playing more games. Like, how many players of quality do you think we need then?
It's a good question, still. I think in terms of the first team, probably 3 or 4, I'd say. In terms of the squad, I'd say we should look at bringing in maybe 6 or 7 to improve the squad. I think a better striker would hugely help us out. I think Son, he plays a really good game as a striker, but I think Richarlison, even though he's been banging in goals recently, I'm still not convinced by it. I don't think he contributes to play enough. And I think, as I say, a top striker would hugely help us out. Maybe another winger. I like Brennan Johnson. I'm not going to come out and say he's coming good now, because he's had a few good games. If he can keep consistently performing like that, I'd keep him at the club and say maybe he'll be a first team starter. But I still think we maybe need another left winger if Dunn is injured or something for a long time to come in, because Johnson or Werner don't fill me with a lot of confidence. Bissouma's I think a lot when it comes to bringing a lot of players in, I'd say wait until the end of the season, because right now I'm thinking maybe Bissouma. But Bissouma started the season so well. He was brilliant, one of the best midfielders in European football for those first 7 or 8 games. And then I just look back at that Luton game for me when he got sent off, and since then he had decent performances, but he hasn't bossed or controlled a game like he did earlier in the season. So I'd maybe look at bringing in a better player than him for that midfield position. And then I think when you're looking at the defence, maybe another centre back. I'm not too sure. I think there is a bit of lacking quality, but it's not like it used to be the Spurs team when you're looking at the first 11. Even last season, going right, want him out. We need to change this, change that. I'm very comfortable with a majority of our back line. I think Sarr's brilliant. I think we've got Son, Vicario in goal. So I think with the first team, it's more just about improving the squad. And if we have an injury crisis like we did earlier this season, in future seasons, we've got some more quality to come in. Because I genuinely think if we had more quality players to come in better squad depth during that period, we could still be contending for the league title right now. When we had all of those injuries, and I know people go, oh, the league title and whatever, but it's a big if. I think it's going to take time to strengthen the squad a lot. Hopefully we do. And as I say, it's a big if because Daniel Levy is our chairman. But I think, as I say, maybe a top striker is the one I'd be looking at. Another pacey defender and potentially another midfielder, similar to Bissouma, but someone who's just that next level, in my opinion.
Does anyone else want to add anything else to this? What players we need? How many, in your opinions, guys? No?
Nah, don't go there. That's next season's problem, right? For me now, maybe mathematically, right, we still can win the league.
Do you know, I actually heard a debate the other day saying we can catch Arsenal, and I nearly just,
Honestly,
it's
mathematically, we still can win the league, right? We win all 11 games, right? 86 points, and they all screw up. Yay.
Look, I think if we get top four this year, as much as some of us, myself included, I'm not really bothered by top four. It is an impressive start to a season by Ange without Harry Kane. I mean, Conte did it.
Oh yeah.
With prime Kane and Son, but he had Eric Dyer and Ben Davies and didn't have Maddison. So I guess it kind of balances itself out. But it is the same way we praise Conte for getting top four in his first season. We're gonna have to praise Ange for it as well because it's we all said we're going to finish between mid-table and sixth.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
The same way we said Villa's going to be a difficult game, we battered them. We're getting a lot of predictions wrong, and the team are proving us wrong as well in a lot of our thinking. So, I want to. This isn't Spurs related, but it kind of is, right? Well, Champions League draw was done today. Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Atletico.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
I predicted that on my show, right? On my. Oh dear, I was going to say it's going to turn into
But the
full,
real talking point
of London derby.
Well, this is what it comes down to, right? We need one of our own to do us a favour. I know he wears red and white nowadays, but listen, he's still Tottenham. He'll always be Tottenham. He is the highest goal-scoring player against Arsenal in history. We must pray that this guy. Bayern Munich just need a couple of penalties and just let Kane do what he does, right? But honestly, look, we're not in the competition, but because they're our rivals, we've got an eye on them. We don't want them to win anything. Guys, just focusing more on Harry Kane here because, he used to play for Spurs. Is this the reason Bayern signed him for moments like this? Is Harry Kane now going to have to step up and prove his worth? I know it's not just about the striker because Bayern have been up and down this season. They're going to come second in the league. But Champions League's their best hope of silverware. Surely Harry Kane is motivated to put one on the Arsenal. I mean, Matt, they've got to. They've just got to beat Arsenal, man. The second leg's in Bayern as well. I'm like, please.
Yeah, listen, it's the reason he left Tottenham to play in those winner-take-all football matches. And there's almost an irony that, it's a knockout match against Arsenal. I think he has, at times, almost single-handedly got Bayern Munich to where they are. If you look at the goals he scored and what the points that he's actually won for Bayern Munich, and take his goals out the previous round and Bayern Munich don't go through. So it's a tough game. You know, I'm not as much as I'm hoping and praying that Bayern Munich win. You know, Arsenal are in form, but I think the fact that the second leg is in Bayern Munich, I looked at Arsenal against Porto in that second game, and they just looked a little bit nervous, looked a little bit uncertain. And Bayern Munich have got that Real Madrid mentality in Champions League. So, look, if they get anywhere near their best 11 out there, which is Alphonso Davies and Coman and Kingsley Coman and those type of players, then it's a real tough game for Arsenal. But if one or two of them are still not quite fit, then I would say it's a 50-50 match at the moment. But if they get their big hitters back, Bayern Munich, I favour Bayern Munich.
Whoa.
Eugene, you've got a Enoch out and Levy out banner in the background. Now, the reason I've mentioned that is because Eric Dyer came out last week defending Daniel Levy, saying he doesn't understand the fans that are Levy out. So if you love Daniel Levy and you want him to have a good life, surely Eric Dyer is going to have to play like Prime Maldini for Bayern Munich and live up to all those comments that he threw at us Levy outers, right? So Eric Dyer, not just Kane, he's got to stop the Odegaards, the Jesuses, the Sakas, right? Yeah, we expect a 10 out of 10 performance from Eric Dyer, right?
Still, I was surprised. He even knew there was a Levy out.
Why? Why are you surprised? We're quite well known, you know.
No, I'm not saying surprised he didn't know. I mean, I was surprised he would talk about it, right? So outright, you know, saying that there's a group of people Levy out there, right? But he doesn't understand. Come on, how can you not understand, right? He's saying that because he wants his testimonial. You get what I'm saying? It's all about the money. But going back to Eric Dyer and Arsenal, right? We've seen how he defended against Arsenal before. And if the first leg, if I'm not mistaken, is somewhere in April. Is it? Yeah, mid-April or late April or something like that. Or
you know what? I'll get the fixtures up and find out. I'll find out.
Yeah. So and hopefully, to tell the truth, Eric Dyer, I think some kind of luck came to him because when he joined Bayern, right, he was supposed to be the sub on the bench and not play that many games. But all of a sudden, there's an injury to one of their main centre backs and all that. He got pulled in, and that's why they're second, right, guys? Please remember, that's why they're second. Right, they ain't chasing Leverkusen down unless Leverkusen, does an Arsenal, right? Then I don't see that. Okay, so at this moment in time, for Bayern Munich to beat Arsenal, the possibility is always there because of Bayern Munich's pedigree in the Champions League. They've been always that kind of a team that always, we close our eyes in the Bundesliga because it's in the pocket, right? Apart from this season, so this season they have something to prove, right? And if they don't go all the way to the finals and hopefully, I really hope they win it because for Kane, right? Because of being a Spurs fan, our hearts for Kane, right? But somehow or another, all of a sudden, he's pulled Dyer in. Is going, is it really worth it? Right? Dyer getting a Champions League medal. Guy, the curse is there. Whoever leaves Spurs, right, goes over to another team and wins something. So please, as I can see it, yeah. Kudos to Eric Dyer, right, for what he's doing now, and his move has to be permanent now, right, because he's played a certain amount of games. I don't know. He's got a brilliant agent, to tell the truth. Squirming his way all the way to Bayern Munich, but yeah, let's see how that goes. And if Bayern don't win anything this season, who are they going to blame? Tuchel, Kane, Dyer? Let's see how it goes.
Robbie, I'm just looking at the Arsenal fixtures, right? They've got Brighton away, which they traditionally not have good games at, although everything's kind of up in the air this year because a lot of records are being broken. But anyway, they've got Brighton away. Then 3 days later, they've got Bayern Munich. Then 4 days later, they've got Aston Villa. And then 4 days later, they've got Bayern Munich away. And then 3 days later, they've got Wolves away. And then a week later, they've got Tottenham.
All this in April, right? Still, April 1 is the start.
This is between the 6th of April to the 27th of April. Then they've got Tottenham away. So Arsenal have got very tricky waters to navigate. Whereas Bayern Munich, let's be honest, they will know at the back of their heads they're not winning a league title. They could really focus heavily on these games in terms of rotation and resting players, whereas Arsenal, they can't afford to rest players because these are tough games. So are we expecting Bayern to win, or do we need to just relax a little bit here, don't get carried away? Arsenal are on a really good run. Because even Porto that gave them a game, they found a way past Porto. What's your thinking on this?
I feel like we've been here so many times the last few years with Arsenal, where they've got so much hype and excitement around them, and they crumble like a chocolate digestive. And I think they'll do the same this season. I genuinely believe so. And it'll make me so happy, genuinely so happy to see Arsenal YouTubers and even non-Arsenal YouTubers who'll be banging on about them being scary and talking about how this Arsenal team is different. I've heard it so many times before, and I'd love to see them silenced. And I'd love to see them silenced by an ex-Spurs lad, one of our greatest ever players, I'd argue, Harry Kane. I really think he'll step up. And as you say, Arsenal, they've got the league, they've got the Champions League, games are coming thick and fast. Bayern Munich can't really give a monkeys about the Bundesliga. They'll probably rest their top players on the weekend before the first leg and before the second leg. So I think travelling to the Allianz in the second leg as well, that's not going to be easy whatsoever. I can really, really see Arsenal going out here, and nothing will please me more. And even if they do go through, they've got Manchester City or Real Madrid in the semi-final. So we should be all good. We should be all good. But I know it sounds quite bad. I just love to see Arteta fail. I really do. Now, Arsene Wenger, dislike the guy, obviously, but I respect him as manager. Arteta, I find him very arrogant, very frustrating to listen to and watch him on the sidelines. He's out of his box more than he's in it. And I'd just love to see him shut up and silence and fail again. And I think they will. I think they'll get knocked out of the Champions League by Harry Kane. I think in the Premier League, Man City will most likely win the league. But in my opinion, Arsenal are definitely contending for it, but I can't see them winning it instead of Man City or Liverpool. And I don't think we should be too worried about them not as Tottenham fans. We're doing our thing at the minute, as I say. And last few years, 4 points clear with 3 games to go in that top 4 battle through that away. Last year, 8 points clear with 10 games to go through that away. And they like to call us the bottle jobs. It's going to happen again this season, and it's going to be great to see their tears.
I just hope if it does happen that all the Arsenal fans that come onto our show in the comments, they turn up, because when they went for that 5-game patch in a few months ago, they all disappeared. Yeah. So it's an interesting pattern. It's an interesting pattern that unfolds. I want to run something else by you guys. This week, changing subject here. The Spurs Supporters Trust wrote a letter to the head of the Premier League, right? I'll read it out to you guys because it's quite small. Dear Mr. Masters, if, like us, the Premier League believes football is indeed nothing without its fans, we urge you to contact the current owners of Tottenham Hotspur to remind them of this. Last week, Spurs announced the ticket prices will increase by 6%, a step too far for many supporters still dealing with a cost of living crisis. But to make matters worse, much worse, in fact, they decided to completely remove new senior concession season tickets from 25 to 26. They also chose to eventually halve the discount for current senior season ticket holders who still qualify for the concessions that remains. Note the word choose. They choose to do this. As one of the richest and most profitable clubs in the world, there was surely another way to raise the relatively small sum of approximately £3 million. We remain disappointed. The club rejected our calls to freeze prices and improve the current concessions offered to its senior citizens. The fact that a fan of 30, 40 or 50 years loyal support will now never be able to buy a season ticket at a senior concession rate is disgraceful and unacceptable. This decision must be reversed. As the independent, democratically elected voice of Tottenham Hotspur supporters, that's not true. we call on you to join us in asking the club to rethink these shocking proposals. We also believe Tottenham Hotspur should commit to comply with the Premier League rules that require it to offer senior concessions rule R8. We ask you to insist they do this. It is never too late to do the right thing. These changes must be stopped. So, 3 things, guys, here. Number 1, they are not the democratically elected voice of Tottenham Hotspur supporters. They are the democratically elected voice of the members of their organisation. So they're lying there. Sorry, Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. You don't speak on behalf of me. You speak on behalf of your members. Regarding this rule, I didn't know this Premier League rule existed. Now, if that's a rule, what's the consequences of not following that rule, or is it an advisory rule? And thirdly, what do you make of this as a course of action, guys? Is this good enough? Is this something we haven't seen before? Matt, what do you make of this all? This letter? Because it's not to Spurs, this letter goes to the Premier League. Normally they write letters and emails to Daniel Levy and Donna Cullen. This has gone to the Premier League.
Yeah, I think they're trying to show that they are reflective of the fan base and the outrage and the discontentment. So I think they're trying to show that, we're fighting your corner. We're expressing what the majority are expressing, but I don't think it's got any legs whatsoever. I can't see any changes happening or any reversal of that decision. But I think it's a PR. They're trying to show, hey, we're in this together, fans, and we're doing something about it. But I can't see anything coming of it. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see it.
Eugene, do you agree with Matt? Is this just PR to make the Spurs Supporters Trust look like they're one of the gang, part of us, or is this actually something different? Because, like I've said, this is to the Premier League, not to the club. The letter written.
When I saw that post on Twitter, right? Do you know what I put at the bottom? Right, I just put 3 words: "You should protest." Simple as that. You can write all the letters you want, right, to the EPL. Richard Masters and all that, right? Richard Masters is just going to call Daniel Levy up and ask him, "What are you doing, bro? Are you upping to 6%?" Daniel Levy is just going to tell Richard Masters, "It's my business. It's none of your business, right? I pay you money, right? You make money off us, right? So bugger off, right?" But if there's consequences on scenarios like that, if it's a law in the EPL charter and all that, where you can't do this, which I don't think so, because Arsenal has already removed their senior citizen concessions from their stadium. So that's a step where, how are you going to say no to Spurs, right? The raising of the 6%.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Right. So, and raising the 6%, right, on the concession. The season ticket holders, right, is a business prerogative. What can the EPL do, right? But if the trust wants to be serious, right, group up, stage a protest, make noise, right? Then maybe the hierarchy will listen to something where you have thousands of people on the streets going crazy because of the ticket prices. Then maybe you have a response from the Premier League. If not, what would you have, right? So you have to go back to the scenario where, why I joined YouTube, right? Spurs, Stel, 3 years ago, because of the ESL. So if the noise is big enough, right, then if not only Spurs make noise, the rest of the fans in the Premier League make noise, then there'll be changes. If not, they're going to say, "Bah humbug, guys, pay out or shut up."
Robbie, you're a young fan, okay? I don't know what it's like if you want to go to games, how much it costs, and how. I'm assuming you're still at college studying, and so money isn't exactly something you work for every single day, like someone that's a bit older. And I don't know if you do go, if your parents help out, or if you've got to save up. I don't know how it works for you, Robbie. But I'm assuming for a younger fan, it's probably harder to get your hand on tickets and go. I don't know if you get any discounts. You can tell us about it. But how do you feel about all this, and how does it impact you as a younger fan? Because we've spoken a lot about the elderly, but that 6% increase, if you're a younger fan, that's quite a big deal, you know?
Yeah, I mean, personally, me and my family choose not to go to the games. I choose not to go to the games. I don't like giving the ownership any money whatsoever. And any merchandise that I buy is of the HK. I haven't bought from the club shop in about 3 or 4 years. But I think I think that the 6% increase in the letter there. My question and opinion on it is, what happens if that letter is just dismissed, like a lot of them have been before from the supporters trust? Is that just, oh well, we tried to make some change and that's that, without really taking any proper action? You guys protest. I've seen you put it on your YouTube every single time there's a protest. You're there, whether it's rain, sun, whatever the weather. Same with Brian Daigle and so many other people on this platform and Spurs fans. And I think you guys want change a lot more than the supporters trust. The way I look at it is, like you said, Matt, it's more of a PR stunt, in my opinion. It's more just to make it look like they're trying to do the right thing, where not necessarily that they don't care, but they're not going to push that hard to, because they don't want to affect their own reputation. And I think, as I say, obviously I want to see Spurs do as well as possible. I love this club. I've grown up supporting this club. But when we weren't doing great towards the end of the season, that's the best I've actually seen the pressure on leaving. Now, there wasn't loads, but a lot more people were talking about you can leave out. A lot more people were talking about protests and things like that. And this season, I think a lot of the reason it's calmed down is because things look like they're going in the right direction again for the club, which is great. But at the same time, a lot of the actual pressure on Levy has slowed down. I think with a 6% increase, I don't think Levy or Enoch are really going to care about this letter, to be honest. I think it will get pushed to the side, dismissed, and I think we'll hear from the supporters trust, we tried to make a difference, we tried to change things around, when there's not really that much effort there, in my opinion.
Guys, I don't obviously want to go into a big Levy out Enoch outro because we're covering lots of topics. We're just covering all the current news of the week, and this was something that happened this week. But I do want to ask you guys. I said that the board have only done this, removing the elderly concessions and putting the price up, because they know they can get away with it, right? You only do something if you know you're going to get away with it. Otherwise, you're stupid. You're only going to rob a shop if you think you're going to get away with it. Otherwise, you're stupid. If you think you're going to get caught, you're stupid, right? So, is it a case of they know they can do this because they're going to get away with it, and the reason they'll get away with it is because fans won't stand up against it? Fans just don't feel strongly enough to take action. They feel strongly enough to, get a keyboard, type a few things online, type a letter, but to actually take action, they know the fans haven't got it in them, because we proved last year we couldn't get more than 200 people to a protest. So they know that they're not going to face much resistance. So at the end of the day, they're going to get what they want, aren't they, guys? And we're just going to get on with it. And as long as, like one of you said, as long as the feel-good factors at the club and we get top four and we play better football than what we saw under Mourinho, we're all right. And the board know this. They've done the analytics. They've run the numbers. They've got their people that have looked into it and said, look, you're going to get some pushback. You're going to get a bit of bad media coverage. But once the tide goes away, you're going to get what you want. All right. Yeah, go ahead with it. Is that, Matt, you're nodding your head away. I think you fully agree with what I'm saying here.
Yeah, look, I think it will be classed as background noise. I think it will be a small percentage of media coverage, but ultimately Tottenham, PLC, real estate, FC, it's now the model is built in such a way it can withstand that type of noise. If you look at the club shop, if you look at the amount of people that come to the stadium for the corporate day, the result is a kind of a bolt on. If Tottenham win, even better. But really, it's a day out. You're going to Disney. You're going to Alton Towers. It is a event. So Levy's masterminded this franchise into a kind of a multi-income stream. So as long as the zeros continue to come in, that 200 fan protest or that letter that gets mentioned on Sky Sports News maybe once, background noise.
Still, to tell the truth, right, I pity the Tottenham Hotspur Supporter Trust. You know why? Because they only have something like 30,000 membership, right? And I'm not even sure they're all full members.
About 20,000.
Yeah,
About
20 plus thousand. I'm a member of the THST, right? But because I'm an international member, so I'm not paying member, so I'm an associate member, something like that. I still get their newsletters and all that, and most of the times I laugh at them, right? But the thing is that if you really want to be a voice, right, for the fans, right? I mean, they have their purposes, right, of like helping the disabled, the elderly, and all that. But now the club is actually stepping on the elderly, right? So they should actually do something like, more action needs to be done. You get what I'm saying? Actual things that has to be done in the stadium, outside the stadium, and all that. But like you said, last season they tried something, right? Still, what was the deal was about, right? They tried to join up with you guys, and they less than a couple hundred people.
She's left the Spurs Supporters Trust. She's called them all out, saying that they work for the club and they do as they're told. She's left being one of the elected officers of the Spurs Supporters Trust. When Conte left and he threw a grenade on the club, she threw a grenade on them on social media. Athula. I've actually asked her to come on the show and explain to us what's actually gone on here. She hasn't responded to me. I doubt she'll come on, but she contacted me. Then she did a U-turn, and then she's left the Supporters Trust. So it just goes to show that I don't even know what the trust is for anymore. I don't know. I don't get it.
Stout, let me ask you a question. How many are on the season ticket waiting list at Tottenham?
Over 70, 80,000.
Yeah.
Eugene,
Crazy.
Guess. You next.
Yeah.
How many?
I heard it's about 100 plus now. So it's crazy numbers out there.
Robbie?
50, 60, 70,000.
There is 90,000 on the waiting list to become a season ticket holder at Tottenham as of March 2024.
90,000. Yeah, so they could refill the whole stadium. Yeah, if you guys don't want it, someone else will take it up. So it doesn't matter to them that much. I know a lot of people like last season when Conte blew up and all that. A lot of people, after the Mourinho Nuno scenario, a lot of people gave up their season tickets, right? While the football was bad. So at this moment in time, what can we say, right? The Supporters Trust, I think, to tell the truth, right? The Supporters Trust, if you look at their history, right, they were more or less created during the time when Daniel Levy took over fully of the club in 2001, right? And they had the blessing of Daniel Levy. So, guys, just put the numbers together, add them up.
But there's so many on that waiting list. There's so many. You think, like, from Daniel Levy's point of view, it's cold-hearted in the way that it is. It's a business move as well. He knows that he can raise the prices and people
collateral damage.
Exactly, because if they lose their season ticket or give it away, there's a very good chance they probably never get it back. A majority of people. So we can raise those season ticket prices without making too big of a fuss by raising them by like 20-30%, and people will keep their season ticket. I'm not going to criticise anyone for that. You love your club and whatever, and to get a season ticket and be in that privileged position is great. But imagine being a season ticket holder and just seeing it go up and sort of knowing that if you give away your season ticket, there's a good chance you never get it back.
Do you know, one thing that's been said is, like what Paul says here, I'm not defending Levy, but my mobile phone tariff went up 6%. When I asked why, I was told it's relating to the CBI rate of inflation. So you make a good point, but the issue I've got isn't putting the prices up to match inflation. It's when all the energy bills went up and everyone had there was an outrage. Oh, electricity costs too much. Oh, gas costs too much. Cost of living. Those utility companies registered profits in excess of $1 billion. That's greed, right? People are struggling. They're stressed out, and they're becoming ill from the stress because they can't survive. And you're saying we've got to charge you more when you're making $1 billion in profit. So when Spurs, same example, say we're the richest club in London, we are the kings of FFP, we are the PSR champions. When you're saying that, and then you're saying, oh, we've got to put prices up, it doesn't wash. So it's all people like to use inflation as an excuse, but you're making record profits. What you're earning way outweighs any setback inflation might put on your underlying profits. The impact inflation has on you is nothing compared to the upside on the profits you're making. If you're just struggling to break even, or if your profit was down, or your cash flow was down, or things are difficult, I get it. But you're putting out record numbers. You've just applied to Haringey Council to host double the amount of events. You still haven't got stadium naming rights deals. It's like the timing is shocking, and it just feels like lies. The same way utility companies lie. And I guarantee you, Paul, your mobile phone tariff provider, I guarantee you, they're making mega money on the profit side of things. So for me, this is greed. That's my issue. It's greed. I've got nothing against capitalism, guys. I'm a capitalist, but I'm against greed. I don't like greed. I've never liked greed. I think there's no need, right? Why can't we sell an academy player to raise the money that the ticket prices would raise? If £3 million, sell a player that doesn't play for Spurs that sits on the bench every year. Sell him.
Hugo Lloris,
get players out on loan. You can make them
allowing Hugo Lloris to leave covers that bill.
Yeah,
the wages. The wages. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. There's other ways, right? There's other ways.
No, still, they know they can do it. That's why they're doing it. We all know that, right? And the other thing is that Daniel Levy should take a pay cut from this, right? Well, he should take a 500 grand pay cut or $1 million pay cut to support this. And furthermore, I tell you, if this goes on for the next 2 years, right, Daniel Levy will get another 500 grand increment in his salary. Just watch and see. Because we suckers are giving him everything he wants.
Sorry, Kevin, capitalism isn't greed. Capitalism allows anyone to earn the rewards of the risk that they take in life and the efforts they put in. That's what capitalism is. Greed is when you have excessive amounts of money when you don't need it, and the people below you are struggling, like your staff. Daniel Levy has got staff that are struggling, right? Yet he's happy to take £3.5 million a year, the highest paid chairman in England, when we win nothing. Like there's an imbalance. This isn't just a Spurs thing, by the way. This is a society thing. There's an imbalance in society. Yeah, but Spurs use the same excuses that the others that benefit from the imbalance use, and that is the excuse that's bullshit. So
no, it's simple, right?
That's my take on it. That's how I see it. Everyone can see
how I see it, right? Daniel Levy is actually running Spurs like a little country, right? Where we fans are paying the taxes. It's just rising up. So it is what it is, right?
This is a bit left field, okay? Apparently, the Air Jordan brand would like a third or fourth kit to be used in the Champions League next season. They're suspending talks with Chelsea. The American brand are closer to doing a deal with Spurs. Currently, there's no vision to replace the home and away kits. Now, I know that there's going to be an Air Jordan brand next season. I've been told this from a few people. They're probably just going to release a one-off kit. It'd be a money spinner more than us wearing it. We might wear it in the Champions League as an away kit. We'll find out. But this has been the kit circulating, guys. Look, I'm not here to say get this kit if it comes out, but I think that's one of the sexiest football kits Spurs have ever put out. If this happens, that looks wicked. If you ask me, what's your thinking of this two-tone black kit? I think it looks mustard.
I think
Love
black
it.
football kits look fantastic. They really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate admitting it, but Arsenal had one last season, which is black and gold. And black and gold, no, those sort of colours on a football kit they look brilliant. They really
Do you remember that? Do you remember that half and half? We had black and grey with Bale and
Yeah.
Defoe. Do you remember that? That's
Yeah.
I loved that kit as well.
See, if you want to raise money, that's how you do it. That's how you do it, because anyone that's an Air Jordan fan will buy it. You know that? That's one way of doing it. But
Air Jordan is part of Nike, right?
Yeah, but he has a brand within a
It
brand.
has his own brand of his own, but it's part of Nike, so that's why he can use it. Yeah, so
because but basically PSG do this. They've got the PSG Air Jordan collection, so then bring out an Air Jordan Spurs collection. And listen, that does look nice. I just wanted to say that. But for all the abuse I get, you hate everything Tottenham. I've just praised the design of the kit because I actually think it looks nice. And there's no red on it. There's no red anywhere. It's just
black and gold. Is it gold or black and shade?
I think it's black and grey, from what I can tell.
Grey. Okay.
It's lovely.
Black and grey. Guys, we've been going for an hour. Please smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to Spurs Wasian TV and Lily White Lane. These boys are legends. Have been with us, part of the family from day one. Original OG YouTubers. And if you don't know, in the words of Box Office, get to know. He's coined that, hasn't he? All right, guys, we're at that point of the Friday preview show. Oh, no, not yet. I forgot. Fulham Spurs. We haven't spoken about this. It's a game. I totally forgot. Sorry, lads. Let's bring up the league table. Let's have a look. Where is the league table? I did have it here. There it is. So as it stands right now, Spurs sit in 5th place, only 2 points behind Aston Villa with a game in hand. Let me just check if Aston Villa are playing this weekend because I don't know.
They got West Ham, I think.
Villa, West Ham on Sunday. So that could be drop points. So listen, Spurs, with the goal difference we've got as well, guys, we could potentially go top 4 with a game in hand still. So we've got to win. Otherwise, that 4-0 against Villa is a bit of an anticlimax and overhyped nonsense. We need to now build momentum. We've pretty much got a similar... what's the word when you look at the last 5 games? Performances, results.
Form guide.
Form guide. Well done, Matt. We've got a similar form guide. Form guide's the one.
Form guide. Right.
So Fulham have won 3, lost 2. We've won 3, lost 1, drawn 1. So we've won the same amount of games. So Fulham are in similar form to Spurs, although they did lose their last game. We've won our last 2. In terms of goal difference, we've scored 19 more goals than Fulham this year. But in terms of defence, we've only been 5 goals better. So if we go by these very basic stats, we should win 2-0, 2-1, right? But I want to get your thoughts on it. One thing I will say is Fulham have looked a bit better. And whereas before they depend on maybe one player to carry them, they've got 3 or 4 players that are playing well. Iwobi's found really good form as well. This isn't a given, guys. This isn't one of those games where we go, wham, bam, thank you, man, 3-0, see you later. This is one of those where it could be a little bit tricky. We've got to approach this with respect to Fulham. Don't look at them because they're below Chelsea. We need to respect this lot because they did go to Old Trafford and win 2-1. We couldn't beat Man United.
Beat Arsenal as well at Craven Cottage early.
Beat Arsenal. And they got a draw with 10 men at home to Arsenal early on in the season, Robbie. Remember that? 2-2?
Yeah, no, they're a good side.
Listen, we just can't take them for granted. Matt, Fulham away, what are you expecting? And what's your prediction as well?
Really tough game. I think they're quite an unpredictable team, Fulham. And I do like the left back. I think he's a very, very underrated player. A lot of pace. I wouldn't mind, can't remember his name, the left back.
That Robinson, the American.
I do like him. I think he's a very... progressive runner of the ball. He's got a little bit of a doji about him where he's a ball carrier and he gets the team up the pitch. So he's a very good player. I think if we are at our best, we should win the game. But Fulham are a difficult team to play against. 2-1 Tottenham.
2-1 Spurs. Eugene, what's your thoughts on this game? And do you know what? I'm going to say this because this happens often. When I'm looking at the predictions, 3-0, 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, everyone is super confident. This always happens, and I always say it when it happens. When everyone's super confident in our chat, that's not what pans out, man. And this is when I get worried. Like, look at Ronnie, 5-1, 5-1. I hope they're right. I want you all to be right. I really do. 4-0. This is when we end up with our heads between our tails.
Yes.
Eugene, what do you think of this one?
Come on, guys. It's a London derby. No, it's London derby first. No no VDV, but hopefully Dragosin can cover that weak spot there, right? It will be a tough game. We scraped through. Did we actually just scrape through, beating them 1-0 at home, if I'm not mistaken, right? In the
2-0, I think.
Or was it 2-0?
I think it was.
I'll find out.
Yeah, let's find out, right? So, and Fulham has been giving let's say the teams racing at
2-0. Robbie was right. 2-0.
2-0, right? Okay. Well,
yeah.
Was it early during our run, the first 10-game run? I think it was during that period of time. So we more or less have the same team back playing against them. They have improved, and somehow or another, when they're at home, right, they do step up when they're playing against the bigger teams like like Arsenal and Man U when they're away. But nowadays Manchester United is debatable whether they're a big team anymore. Let's don't go there. Maybe next season they'll improve. But I see this game being a tight one. Not to say it's going to be a very confident kind of win, but I do hope we do win. But I do see we do win 1-0, scraping through.
1-0. Robbie, before you give your prediction, tell us what you think of the game. Are you expecting a good performance? Because we have been a bit shaky with performances. I know second half of Villa we were great, but that first half was zero creativity.
I'm hoping for one. I don't know if I'm expecting one, to be honest with you. So I think recently, I'd say probably since that Newcastle game, really, we've had good spells in games, but we haven't really been able to turn it into a consistent performance. The Palace game, the Brentford game, Everton one. In all three of them, we had 10-15 minute spells where we played well, controlled the game. Apart from that, we were sort of off it. Against Villa, I thought in the first half, both teams didn't really offer anything. But then again, at the same time, we dominated possession, controlled the game. And second half, I'd say that's one of the best second halves we've seen this season under Postecoglou. So I think it should be an interesting game this Saturday. I'm hoping for a good performance, and I think we will turn up. I think we will. I think the one thing about Fulham, whilst they've been playing good recently, sort of got themselves far away from that relegation. They don't really look like they can contend for Europe. So I'm not saying they're going to be on the beach yet, but I think there's going to be less motivation there for them than there will be for us on Saturday. As you say, they've got some dangerous players. Iwobi's been on it this season. Traore as well. He's just one of those players you've always got to keep an eye out for. It's very, very tricky. Well, I think they got Vinicius still as well. It'd be
no, he's left.
If he turned up, he left. I thought he was still there. They got a few.
He's gone to Galatasaray.
Did he? I didn't even know. It tells you how much of an impact he made there. But Paulinho in the midfield, good player. I think it's tough. Liverpool went there in the Carabao Cup, nearly lost. They nearly took it to penalties in that semi-final. Arsenal went there and lost. Beat Man United a few weeks ago. But
Robbie, don't talk to us about Fulham and penalties, mate.
Yeah, I forgot about that one in the cup early this season. But I do think, I think when we last played them at their ground, we were really off it. But I'm hoping that tomorrow we turn it on. I think we will win. I think Van der Ven's a big miss, so I think we can see playing our high line. But I do think Madison's playing some great stuff. Saar, he's been so consistent all season. Sonny's banging him in left, right, and centre. I think we win 2-1. 2-1, I'm saying, yeah.
2-1. I think this is going to be a difficult game. And I also think without Van der Ven, they will get in behind us and score. I'm stuck between 2-1 Spurs and 2-2 because we do have those moments where we are kind of holding on, and it's whether our defense and our goalie keep it together or whether they put pressure on them and they buckle. On the other end, we do have Heung-min Son. He's fit. He's back. He's capable. His son. I'll go 2-1. I'll go with Robbie. 2-1 Spurs. I think we'll just do it. Get the win. All right, Spurs family. We're going to take your questions. People that have posted questions up on the socials, we will go through them one by one, quickly answer them, and I'll tell you what we think. So let's see if there's any questions. Kane dumping, well, it's not a question. It's just a comment. Kulu's video exposed the open letter. What did you guys make of Kulu's? This is from Liston Hines. What did you make of Kulu's comments where he said against Chelsea, we lost the game, but we won in life? That's had mixed reactions. My thoughts on this has gone down like a lead balloon. I'm public enemy number 1 on Twitter for saying if we've won in life, go away to Stamford Bridge and prove it then. But a lot of fans have loved it. They feel it's really a wonderful thing to say, and they feel together with the club, and the words are really heartwarming. And I just felt, look, man, we mentally capitulated against Chelsea. We shot ourselves in the foot. I don't see how we won in life. If we stuck to the plan, and no matter what, then fair play. But I don't know. I just thought it was a bit too much given that game and how bad Chelsea have been this year. But Matt, briefly, what's your thoughts on Kulu's "we won in life" comments?
I liked it. I think, I did see your comments you posted, Stel, and I did think, if I was your marketing manager, I'd have been like, Stel, don't press send. Don't send it out.
That just goes to show that I don't say things out of marketing perspectives. I say it as I feel, which is probably why you're right. The marketing guy would have said, "Stel, no, don't do that."
Yeah, don't send that. You're going to get a world of hate back. But I liked it simply because I just think I'm looking a little bit beyond the actual words, and what I think the message is that. Win, lose or draw, we'll learn. We'll learn from this experience. And I think even though we did press the self-destruct button in the match, I would like to think that they are more experienced and they're better players for that experience. So it's almost like putting your hand to the fire. You only know when you get burnt. Your parents can tell you don't do it, but as a kid, the first time you put your hand there, you realise that hurt. So I think we've looked a little bit more street savvy since that match in how to handle the kind of the mental side of the game. And I think even the Aston Villa game the weekend where we could have lost our heads, the McGinn tackle, I was worried that someone would have raised a hand and we'd had one of our players sent off. So I think we're learning to deal with the kind of the goading and some of the other side of it. So I liked it. I think Kulu is a Marmite in our fan base, let's be honest. As many people like him, the others don't. But I think the bigger picture is we're developing, we're growing on the pitch and off the pitch. The fans applauded us even though we got beat against one of our biggest rivals 4-1, but the fans still applauded us. We go again. That's the message I'm trying to take from it.
I hear you. By the way, just so everyone understands, I like Kulu. I've always defended Kulu. I just felt that we won in life. Eugene.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I think it's more of what Kulu is trying to express at this moment, right? Because the pressure is actually not on the players. Maybe someone else taken off the pressure off the players. So for them to perform the way they perform on that day against Chelsea, they felt they won something because the fans applauded them instead of booing them in the end, even losing 4-1. I'm not saying it's a good thing to lose, but maybe that loss has shown that the connection with the fans and the players are good now. You get what I'm saying? I mean, that was during that time, right? Not now, right? When we are playing horseshoe football, it's still like the whole stadium is quiet right now. But hopefully we're coming back to that level again. That's why maybe when Kulu came out with this video that he did, it was more like a PR stunt because you know what Danny Levy did by upping the season ticket prices and, taking away the senior citizen concessions. The club needs to come up with some PR smoke and mirrors to make the fan base, a bit more calm, right? But in their day, what Kulu, I think, is saying is that, guys, we are not under the old regime when usually the manager will be the one throwing us under the bus, and the fans are feeling it. And it's a good way forward because, like I said, ever since Ange has come to the club, what I see Ange has done is that he's actually made us more like a family, right? We fight for each other. So that's something that we are building on, and maybe that's why the players that Ange are choosing are bringing them in. So I guess it's a good sign. If we put up a performance like we did against Chelsea and still lose, right, after what happened. But now we've come back to reality again, right? That's why maybe these kind of fantasy kind of feelings that has to be given back to the fans to feel good, right? But like I said, it's a good step forward. We've seen a lot more of our players come out and talk this season, right? And do videos and have interviews and all that. And they're feeling more, the camaraderie is there. So that's the positive I see in what Ange has brought to this squad. But of course, we'll have to find out in the end of the day, the results is me being a Spurs fan, right? I want to win every freaking game that we play, right? I want to become an invincible, not lose a game, win all the games and win the league, right? I mean, being delusional and all that, but get something on the table for us next season. Then we'll start to actually judge, right? How the actual fan base will react to that.
Robbie, we won in life. What's your thoughts?
I actually thought a majority of the interview was really good. I was glad to see a player like Kulu, come out and be really comfortable and confident to speak about what's going on at the club. But we won in life. I don't like that. I think Ange's done the right thing in that Chelsea game, playing the higher line at that point. But at the same time, I don't like celebrating a loss. Maybe it's just the way that I am, or not necessarily celebrating a loss, but taking positives away from it instead of the negatives. I think maybe it's just the way that I am. I don't like it when people say it's the taking part counts as the winning for me. But I think a majority of the interview was really good. I think he spoke really well about Ange and what's going on. It's good to see a real togetherness in the squad and with the fan base connected to the squad as well in that stadium. Every time a team comes to our stadium, it's an intimidating atmosphere. The fans are together, ready. Last season, everything just felt really, really flat. And I think to appreciate that this season's really good, you have to look back on some of the results and the fan base being in complete and utter disarray last season. You look at it now and, the players are genuinely together. When we celebrate a win, we all get together and come over to the South Stands and whatever. And some of the stuff that I love is when defenders put in tackles or Vicario makes a save and they go over to each other. I think there's a real togetherness in that squad, which every team needs at the start of the rebuild. You look back at Jurgen Klopp when he first joined Liverpool, he was fist pumping the fans when they drew to West Brom, and everyone was taking the piss out of him for it. Whereas it wasn't about what opposition fans felt. It was about the Liverpool fans at that moment and that team building the togetherness. And I think it was the same thing for us in that Chelsea game. And it's the same thing right now that's taking place with us. I think it's all about rebuilding the club. And I think Kulusevski, like you said, Stel, I really like the guy. I think he gets a lot of slack that's undeserved, in my opinion. I think statistically, he's one of our best players over the last few years. And it's good to see players come out confidently and, talk about the club. One thing I also want to mention is I don't know if you guys saw it. I think it was yesterday. It might have been the day before, where Ange Postecoglou invited the lads who came to the press thing a few months ago to the training ground, and he brought him into the office and showed him the picture of him. It's just that sort of feel good factor around the club that's it's negative in terms of like protesting against the ownership and whatever, but it's good to see the club going in the right direction in that way. And we've got a manager now that the whole fan base are behind, and a squad that the fan base are behind. And I think players and managers coming out and doing interviews, it's only going to benefit them and us as a fan base.
Fair play, Robbie. I'm glad you said all of that, because people think that Tottenham away, no, they only say one thing, it's always negative. Robbie and Eugene and Matt have been very positive about Kulu's comments and praised it all, right? But I hope people remember this as well as if I say something the opposite, because listen, fair play to you guys. Fair play.
Can I ask Stel, what was your problem with it? Just to explain yourself in case people have read the social media post and understood it.
All rival fans that saw that laughed their head off at us. Why?
Okay.
A Leicester City fan posted as a reply to it on social saying, "This is why you win nothing." I just see it as a mentality of an acceptance of it's okay to be happy when we lose. I find it as a mentality obstacle, right? I get what he meant. I get what he was saying. Look, we stuck to our guns no matter what, and in the long term, we hope we'll get the rewards of sticking to our ways despite getting battered 4-1 against an awful Chelsea team. The rewards will come, right? I get what he was trying to say, but this, we won in life. I just found it very meta, very dramatic, very, that's for the fans. That's for you to, it was too poetic for a disastrous day. It was it was such a kick in the teeth, that game. It was such a dagger in the heart. Everything about it stinks. There's nothing about it where I want to hear the word win. There's no win in that game for me at all. It was dog shit, man. We mentally capitulated. We buckled under the pressure. We deserved the red cards we got because we couldn't handle the moment. And we allowed the worst Chelsea team in 20 years to come to our ground and absolutely humiliate us. One of the worst strikers in the league scored a hat-trick. I mean, I'd rather just put that to bed. It's happened. We move on and just say, look, we've learned from that, and we look forward to playing them at Stamford Bridge and break. A bit like Aston Villa, right? Villa came to our ground. We were all over them for 20, 30 minutes. We lost 2-1. Right. We didn't speak about it. We spoke about what went wrong, what went right. We parked it. We went to Aston Villa and set the record straight. We set the record straight on Sunday. Let's have it right. We gave to them what we should have given them to them when they came to us. Okay. Don't speak about Chelsea. Just park it. Go to Stamford Bridge and batter them 3-0. You don't need to speak. We don't need to speak because actions speak louder than words. So I just find this is one of those Spurs moments where, just to answer your question, Matt, I just find words are so cheap for me when it comes to Tottenham. Like I don't buy into words anymore. I'm at a place as a Spurs fan, maybe because I've been doing it for so long. Robbie, I hope you don't become like this. I hope as a fan you don't get to this stage when you're older. But I'm at a stage where unless I see it, I don't want to hear about it. Show me. Show me you've changed. Show me you've learned. Show me you're winners. Don't write me poems. If I want to read poems, I'll go and listen to Shakespeare talk. So Matt, that's kind of my angle, right? Do you get? That's my angle.
You've seen this. You've seen this film before.
Yeah, we all have.
I've got the trilogy. I've been to the cinema. I've got it on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, but look, I get it. It was a lot of fans feel good about it, and they feel a tighter bond with their players off the back of it, and they don't want that crushed. I get that. I'm just past words anymore. I want to see action. So
the bottom line is we lost 4-1 to one of our
Yeah.
fiercest rivals. That's the bottom line.
It's the worst Chelsea team in 20 years. They're horrendous.
I get it.
Mate, Liverpool's under 18s beat them. That's how bad it is. Okay. Anyway,
Wolves beat them 4-2 at Stamford Bridge as well.
Robbie, if we go to Stamford Bridge and put one on them, all is forgiven, mate. Honestly,
Yeah.
I will be the first one to come out and say, Kulu, I slammed your words of we are winners in life. I called you out on it, buddy. Humble pie for me. A big slice of humble pie. Because your actions backed up your words. But if we go to Stamford Bridge and we lose again, it's like, well, hold on a minute. I thought we won in life. Like, what's happened here then? So let's see. I would love us to beat that Chelsea team because they're not good, man. They're so freaking average.
That's
I really
what
want
was so frustrating. They beat us 4-1 as well because those first 15 minutes we were all over. And it's just as soon as we lost that game, I knew it was one that's going to stick. I've got a Chelsea mate at college. Whenever I talk to him about them being crap, we still went your ground and beat them 4-1. And just, but what am I meant to say back and come back with the best response? I came out with something stupid. Well, we went down to 9 and he went, it's not our fault. And I thought, fair point, to be honest. I mean, it's just one that's stuck now. It's brought up in conversations with Chelsea and Tottenham. As you say, if we can go to Stamford Bridge, not just get a point like we did last year, but really show them where, how far away they are from us this season, it'd be great.
It was no different to Battle of the Bridge without the aggression. Okay, Battle of the Bridge, 2-0 up. We lost our heads. We mentally lost our focus, and we gave it away. We're 1-0 up against Chelsea. They put some pressure on us. We mentally capitulated. That for me is what happened. If we kept our heads together, we would have ridden that storm they brought, and then we would have put them to bed. And don't forget, in that game, Heung-min Son scored the best team goal Spurs have put together this season, and it was given offside by about a millimetre. If that was given, what a sensational goal that would have been. We had them, man. But
that's given us game over as well, I reckon. Their heads dropped and we paced them.
Yeah, but we didn't have the mental capacity, and this is Spurs' biggest issue. It's that mental capacity. We shit the bed. We just we self-inflicted.
Look, it's that the Premier League is relentless. It's the fiercest examination of a footballer in club football. You get tested, you get put under the microscope every minute of every game. And it's not just a physical examination, it's a mental examination. And we showed in that game, when it got petulant, when there was a lot of free kicks, there was a lot of stop-starts, we stopped playing our football and we started to turn it into a fight. We started to turn it into a niggly match. That's what Chelsea wanted it to be turned into, and we played into their hands. If we don't learn the lessons of that match, then I'm on board with you still. But I'm hoping, and it's a bit soppy. I get what you're saying. It's a soppy wording, we win in low. If I get that caption, but I'm hoping what that basically means is, we've turned that page now, and when we get put in those positions again, we'll navigate ourselves out of it and stick to football. So, the proof's in the pudding. When we go back to Stamford Bridge, I think they will also turn it into a niggly, scrappy match. Can we navigate ourselves around those moments and play our football?
Yeah, actions speak louder than words. Let's see what Spurs do when they go to Stamford Bridge. And like I said, you've got me here. The clipping opportunity is available. If we put one on them, I will eat humble pie. I'll even come on here with pie, and I'll eat the pie, guys, on a Friday show. I will eat the pie. I will eat the pie. But it's got to be
another bet.
Or baked or tart. I'm very selective on my pies.
Good. Big trick, right? Another bet and you lose, right? And we win.
Listen, if we win, I'll celebrate the win, man. I freaking hate Chelsea. We've got another chat. We've got another question here from. Where is it? From William? Big up, William. I think he's a channel member as well. Do you think Ange will be back to the level required to win trophies, or will it be the same? All right, guys, we've got to keep it quick because we've got a few to get through, and I want to wrap it up soon. For me, my heart says yes. My brain says no. Matt?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say we've got a recruitment team in place, and I think we will be fishing in certain ponds, which will allow us. We will get a Van der Ven as opposed to a Bastoni, and I think if we do that type of recruitment, we'll be okay.
Eugene, will Ange get backed? He's got Levy out behind him. I know how this is going to go.
What? Are you serious?
Imagine if Eugene just comes out and says, "100% backing him."
You asking me, will Ange get backed? I don't know. Somehow or another, this season looks like Ange got backed, right? Because the players came in seamlessly, slide in, and all is looking progressive. Well, will Ange get backed? Oh, guys, I hope so. That's all I can say.
Robbie, is Ange going to get backed?
I'd love Ange to get back, so I really would. But then again, I'd love to go out for dinner with Margot Robbie. Neither I don't think are going to happen. I really don't. I'd love it. I really would. I think Ange's doing a great job, especially if we get top four, though. I think we've seen it before with Conte when he got Champions League football and the club was at such a high and he just wasn't providing the players that he wanted or needed for his system. As I say, this is one I'd be very, very happy to be proven wrong with, but I think it's just happened so many times under, this ownership. I don't want to be too negative as a Friday night, but I struggle to see him being back to the extent that we as fans want him to be, which in my opinion is in a few years, hopefully, winning some sort of trophy and contending with the big boys in the league, whoever they are, with that, be Manchester City with Pep, Liverpool with Xavi Alonso, or whoever, Arsenal potentially. I think that, as I say, if he can do that, he's provided with the right players, but I don't think he will be. I really hope that I'm wrong there. But lads, I am going to have to shoot off. I think the dinner's ready, to be honest with you. But it's been a pleasure coming on, Stel. Thanks for allowing me to come on the channel again. I haven't been on a stream in a long time. I've been busy with college and stuff going on in.
Whenever you're free, Robbie, just ping me a message, bro. You're always invited. You know that.
Right, take care, Robbie.
Matthew, Eugene, pleasure to see you both. Take care.
Top
Have
man.
a great Friday night, everyone in the chat. Up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs.
Top man, Robbie.
White Lane TV,
Yeah,
guys, make sure you like and subscribe to his channel. I'll put a link in the description after the show. Yeah, you do.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this question back, right? Because you've been telling me you've been meeting up with the coaches, right, of the youth team and all that, and you got the information that Ange is probably going for the league title next season, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do you think Ange is going to get backed? You Levy out there.
I don't know, Eugene. My heart says he will, but my brain says no. Like my brain, I've been here before. We've been here before. The problem I have is this, right? Define backed, because if you go back to when we spent 150 million pounds on Mourinho, so many YouTube channels and so many people in the media said he's been backed. He's been backed. Look, they're all winners. Joe Hart, he's a winner. This player,
Gareth Bale.
Højbjerg, he started at Bayern. He's a winner. Gareth Bale, he's a winner. And then as soon as Mourinho sacked, well, was he really backed? Was he? And then Conte was backed. Look at all these players we bought. And then as soon as Conte sacked, why did we sign Clement Longley? That Danjuma signing doesn't make sense. It's almost like in the moment, everyone throws this positive surge of energy without just taking a step back and saying, hold on. Whereas a few of us said, a bit underwhelming. What I will say is the summer we've just had is probably the best summer transfer window I've seen us have under Levy.
Yeah.
Van der Ven, Vicario, Madison alone, I don't know the last time we signed 3 players in one window that have all been that good. I don't. Adogi coming back from a previous loan deal, he's been almost like a new signing. There are some signings I question, like Brennan Johnson, Werner, Veliz. So that's why I'm a bit hesitant. But if this summer we do something like last summer but better, then yeah, I'd say he's backed. But what are the other fans? What does backed mean to you?
No, but
See,
still,
fans
no, I
got different
understand.
view.
But the thing is that you have information that he's going for the title, right? And he knows that in the Premier League, right, the standards to go for the title cannot be Timo Werner, cannot be.
He knows the players he wants. I'll tell you that now. He knows the players he wants.
He knows the
as in the positions, not the specific player. Like, I want Caravascalia, I want Jack Grealish. He knows the positions that he wants. I'll tell you that now. I've heard it from people within the club.
Okay, I'm going to ask you
What
this.
players we bring in for those positions, for me, is where we're gonna get divided. So if we sign, let's say we sign Caravascalia, everyone will say Ange's been backed for that position.
Yeah.
But if we bring in a Lloyd Kelly, if we bring in a Lloyd Kelly or Conor Gallagher, that's going to split fans. That will split fans. Fans will say, "Is that backing though? Is that truly backing the manager?" And this is why I ask you back now, and I ask Matt this, right? So my response, I'm going to push back a bit here. What does being backed mean? Because for me, I think it means something different to other fans.
I think being backed is giving the manager the profile of player that he needs. And I think this is quite a different mythology of how Ange runs a football club as opposed to Conte and Jose Mourinho. They require players that come straight out of the box and go straight in and play, regardless of shelf life, sell-on clause or whatever. They're just interested in, I need that player to play in that position now. I think what Ange's building is a profile. So we have this possession-based football. We play a high line. We condense them in the final third. And we do this boa constrictor style of football where we just tighten and tighten and tighten and the pressure builds. And that's why when we get the first goal, we more often get the second goal. So we score goals in bunches because the pressure, the release of the pressure, the side collapses. And that's why we go 1-0 up and go 2-0 up quickly. So he's looking for players that can consistently play at that tempo and take risks. Romero, who's not the quickest, but he takes risks. He's happy to play further up the field and leave grass behind him. Eric Dyer's not comfortable doing that. So he's not the right profile of player. Højbjerg, he doesn't like to empty the midfield. He likes to stay and pull people in and cover him, and he's big and strong and he dominates and wins the ball. But when there's grass left and right of him and grass behind him, he looks a little bit hesitant on the ball. He looks a little bit clumsy on the ball. Ange wants you to get it, move it quickly and run. Papa Sad does that without thinking. So what I think is the profile, the characteristics of footballer that Ange wants and needs, the recruitment is already in place. I think that level of player, and it won't always be names that roll off your tongue. It won't be the most obvious player that's coming from a top 4 competitor, but all of a sudden they come into our team and you go, oh yeah, Van der Ven from Wolfsburg, you know, he's not a natural signing.
Udogie.
They're not natural. That's why we signed him. But you put them in his profile of what he needs, and it's seamless. So this is why I say I think he'll be backed, because he's not going to be asking for a £70 million Bastoni. He's not going to ask for that. He's going to say, I need a player to do these things in possession and out of possession. And brings out Van der Ven for 43 million. So I'm actually quite optimistic.
I agree with Matt here, right? The profile of the players that Ange wants, we all know what kind of style that the players that Ange wants, right? But I'm saying is that even the profile is there, right? Can't we get a bit better quality? I mean, hopefully, if Ange has got a list of these are the profile of players I have, this is number one quality that this kind of quality, second level quality, level quality. If Ange can get between the first and second level quality, right, then maybe it can actually push us to a title charge. But as I see at the moment, right, with all these new rules coming in with profit sustainability, blah, 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 right, will it give Levy another excuse not to actually put up the money to get the players we need? See, but you're looking at players like Conor Gallagher. Do you think, is he that profile and is he that quality that we need to push us to a title charge? That could be the other question should be asked, right? That level of quality, that profile is one thing. We are, to tell the truth, right, guys, honestly, I feel that this season we are very lucky, right? Having Vicario, VDV, right? Udogi coming back, right? Sa performing to his utmost ability, and Madison, all these guys gelling together in this system with Son leading the way, right? And we have our ups and downs, but I feel that we're very lucky that all these guys just gelled in. I was thinking that most probably by now we'll be like struggling for eighth, under a new manager. If these players didn't gel, right, most probably we'll be around that kind of levels. But now we know the levels. We want a next level. That's all.
Another question here. Do you think Ange should be using Porodogi as traditional wing backs rather than inverted wing backs, as these players are strongest at providing the width? I feel our game is too narrow with inverted wing backs and not stretching, especially against the low block. Siraj has sent us this question. Matt, you go first. I'll give you my coach's answer.
I think Udogi and Porro are perfect in the inverted position, with slightly different characteristics. Udogi is a ball-carrying footballer who breaks lines and draws players to him. If you look at, it was not by accident that Emery changed the system and moved John McGinn to the right-hand side of midfield to try and combat Udogi's runs. And after the third and fourth and fifth time Udogi torched him, he took the law into his own hands. So I think Udogi is such an important footballer for the style that Ange wants to play. I think where we are not performing is out wide. So when we are inverted and when we are in a packed midfield, we're isolating the wide player. And at the moment, not often enough, that wide player is not beating his man. So invariably what's happening is when the ball goes out wide and it's a one-on-one, that wide player is then coming back into midfield. So after a period of time, the opponent thinks, I don't need to shuffle over so far because the ball's going to come back inside. If we get one or two wide players that can beat their man, that's an extra problem for the opposition, because they then can't pack the midfield because they're conscious of that wide player who is left on one-on-one is skinning my fullback. So that, in my opinion, is the next level of where Tottenham can possibly be next season. If we get one or two wide players, a Diaz for Liverpool, for example, who can beat his man, that's an extra problem for the opposition. So we're slowly getting there. I'm hoping the Timo Werner replacement is that level of player.
Replacement.
So
on that question, still, I think I'm going to ask you, is it for this season or next season, right? If for this season, right, we ain't playing those two on the wide because we got no one to cover on the fullback side.
No, he's talking about now.
Yeah, so I don't think we can do that now, right? To tell the truth, are we gonna put Emerson Royale and Davis on the fullbacks, right, and put Udogi and
No. He said
wingers.
the question specifically said Udogie and Porro.
Yes, Udogie and Porro goes to the wings, right? Who's going to cover?
No. He's saying rather than they invert, should they go
They
wide?
just play as the wide.
Basically, what
play
Trent
wide.
Alexander-Arnold and Robertson do.
Okay, they just play as the normal, like what Danny Rose and Kyle Walker used to do, right?
Traditional wingbacks.
Just normal wingbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that won't be Ange ball, right? So I don't think he'll do that. Simple as that.
For me, I don't think he should be using them as traditional wingback for two reasons. One, if they go up the wing as wingbacks, then you're asking them to cross the ball into the box. Only Porro's good at that. So now you've got a wingback in Udogie that can't do that. Or he hasn't shown us that he can put crosses in. No one can cross the ball like Porro in our team at the moment. So that's the first issue. Secondly, if you counter that by saying, right, don't cross it in the box, play it on the ground, like drill it in. Well, a centre back or a good DM that reads the play will cut that off. They'll intercept the play, and then you've got a transition and attack on us, and then you're putting the high line under pressure. The third problem is if you do cross it into the box, you're depending on headers. Well, only Richarlison's proven to be good at heading the ball from set pieces. So you've only got one player. So what? We have to play Richarlison every game. So I don't think you can play with traditional wingbacks with Udogie and Porro. What should be happening is when they invert in, that gives. What should be happening is Timo Werner and Kulu should be getting to the byline and pulling the ball back. You saw exactly that. One where Kulu scored a goal a couple of weeks ago where he beat one or two players and against Wolves. The equaliser against Wolves, he got to the byline. He scored. Last game against Aston Villa, he got to the byline, pulled it back, Heung-min Son, smacks into the back of the net. That's not happening enough. And the reason it's not happening enough is two reasons. One, lack of quality in the wide areas. Two, just a lack of consistency. And inconsistency comes from repeating the practice, the drill, rehearsal. We call it a repetition of the practice when we coach. Otherwise, in the real world, we call it practice makes perfect. Same thing. So it comes over time. If you look at pre-season, the amount of times I got to the byline and pulled the ball, we kept pulling the ball back. We did that a lot in pre-season. We kind of stopped doing it. I'll give you another example. Maddison, when he set up Heung-min Son for the equaliser against Arsenal, got to the byline, pulled back. That's what this system's supposed to do. So it's just about us being good at what we're set out to do as opposed to changing it to the wing-backs, the old system. That's my take on it when I look at it with my coach's hat on. Is it nice to mix it up once in a while? Yeah. But then you need the right profile of player to be able to mix it up. I don't know if we've got that profile of player at Spurs. I just don't think we do. That's my take on it, Siraj. I think there's one or two more questions. Jasraf, who do you think is pulling the strings behind the scenes with player acquisition, Lange or Paratici? For me, guys, I'm going to say Paratici. Matt?
Eugene, you go first this time because I'm conscious I've probably spoke more than you recently. So your turn.
No, it's okay. Lange or Paratici, I think it's Levy.
That wasn't an option, but ultimately he signs the check, so it's always Levy, right? The man that signed the checks ultimately.
Okay, let's say those who are doing the recommending, right? And I don't know, Paratici is just a consultant. But somehow or another, he has such an effect on our club. I don't understand why.
The question is, who's pulling the strings? Is it Lange or Paratici? That's the question there. That's the bit.
I tell you, it's Paratici. The consultant usually was pulling the strings, right?
Matt, who's pulling the strings?
Yeah, I think we're almost getting the best of both worlds because we've got this kind of phantom menace, which is Paratici, who's kind of like a non-consultancy role. So he's kind of in the background somewhere in the corridors, whereas Lang is in there full-time behind the desk. So I think 4 eyes are better than 2. So Paratici's knowledge and contacts in the Italian league, for example, is outstanding. So why not? Why not? I think it's Paratici that is. I think the player from Atalanta, the midfielder Ederson. I think we're heavily linked with him in the summer. and that's a Paratici recommendation. So for me, Paratici all day long.
One last question from an Arsenal fan. Big up DJ Marcus. Apart from George Graham, ha ha ha, very funny. Who's been your favourite ever Spurs manager, Eugene? Stellini? Ryan Mason?
No, Ryan Mason, yeah. Big up Ryan Mason. My love for him. Now, honestly, I think it'd be Poch, right? Because Poch was the only manager that gave me the feeling that I wanted him forever. You know, I wanted to keep him like Alex Ferguson and stayed on the club for 20 years, help us build and win something. But as you know, it never happened. So I'll say Poch.
Matt?
Keith Burkishaw. I'm old enough to remember Keith Burkishaw, and that he was ahead of his time in how he recruited players. The Ozzy Ardiles and Ricky Villa and the Steve Archibald from Scotland, you know. Whereas now signing players from abroad is like that. He was one of the first. I'm going to say first division, which is now the Premier League. He was one of the first managers to actually have a recruitment team overseas, finding players from abroad, and we were successful. You know, we were winning FA Cups and you know UEFA Cups and stuff like that in the early 80s. So Keith Burkishaw. I'd love Pochettino. I liked David Pleat. I don't think people realise how good that 1987 team with Clive Allen scoring 49 goals. I don't think that gets the hype it should have got. That team with Hoddle and Waddle and Ozzy Ardiles as the deep lying midfielder, Richard Gough, that was some team. We finished third. We finished third in the league. We lost the FA Cup final and we lost in the semi-final of the League Cup. That team was something special.
But you see, it gets forgotten because you didn't win a trophy, and this is what happens when you don't win silverware. People forget. Pure facts. You say Bill Nicholson. Let's not forget history. We have to be alive for it to be our favorite manager, right? Because we didn't experience it. I'm with Eugene. For me, it's Poch. I love the Poch era. I thought I was so positive, man. I was so energetic about Spurs under Poch. I loved it. And I stick to what I've said. I stick to what I say. If we backed him those last 2 years when we stopped backing him, we would have won everything. League title, Champions League, Europa Cup, FA. We would have won the lot. But instead, we let Liverpool go and do what we should have done. And they won everything else instead because they backed their guy. There you go. Nuno is the best proud man.
Still makes us proud, right?
Do you know what, Stel? I forgot. Literally this morning, I forgot Nuno was our manager. He was on Sky Sports talk. He was on Sky Sports talking about the Brighton match and how unfair the decision was, and it said the ex-Tottenham manager, and I was like, huh? And then you forget Nuno was the Spurs manager. How crazy was that appointment?
Mate, how crazy was Stellini? I mean, that was insane. Sack the man because he's toxic and put his number 2 in charge. And then we went and got pumped.
Newcastle.
That Newcastle game summed up everything that was wrong with the club. Guys, we're going to wrap it up. I'll let you all have your last says. I just want to quickly say big up to Phil P for your super chat earlier on. William, Leon, 11 months channel member. Bring it, big boy. 10 months channel member. Big up to you guys. Everyone in the chat today, thank you for joining us. We will be doing tomorrow, if you want to join us, late at night, the post-match. Oops, wrong image. Fulham versus Spurs late night show. I think this is at 10:30 p.m. UK time. We will be discussing that game. But last words, Eugene.
Last words is I'm also will be doing a dual stream watch along with Talk and Ball, Colin, right? For the Fulham Spurs game. If you're free, hop on the Spurs Vision TV, join us and watch us do some stupid things on the watch along. Right. So, and at this moment in time, I guess, and as always, leave you out.
And as always, leave you out. Matt, final words.
Yeah, just really enjoyed the show. Thank you everybody for the comments, and again, subscribe, hit the like button for Stal. He does an unbelievable job, and it's a thankless job at times. So hit the like button. If you're not sure, hit it again just to make sure as you leave. I'm just really looking forward to tomorrow's game. I think we're almost getting our mojo back, almost, and I'm hoping we can transfer that into tomorrow's football match. If we win tomorrow's match, I think we're back. I'll say we're back.
And my final words are for all of you that said that Saka is world class. Did you see the Porto game? Did you see Saka? Paddy Power, Saka when Arsenal aren't playing Burnley or Sheffield United. He's just another shamak. And on that note, up the Spurs. Let's beat the Fulham tomorrow. I'm going to have a cracking show tomorrow night if we do, I promise you. We're out of here. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.